Okay, we're here to talk about post-workout nutrition or post-meet nutrition, pre, intra, and post-meet nutrition.
Yep.
I'm Alexa.
I'm Nicole. We're in our hotel room in Memphis.
Yeah.
We're here for nationals, getting ready, weightlifting nationals, getting ready to compete.
Yes, and so we both have personal experiences with cutting for weightlifting meets and fueling for weightlifting meets, so we're going to touch on that a little bit and kind of just talk about what we recommend for other people as well.
Yes.
All right. So first, we're going to talk about post weigh-in and pre-lift. So if you are a weightlifter and you're cutting weight, it's going to be really important to dial in what you're eating immediately after you weigh in and before you lift. Personally, what I would recommend and what I tell all my clients is that you should not be changing anything about your pre-lift nutrition before a meet. If you know that certain foods make you feel good in training on a heavy training day, that's what you should be sticking with. This is just not the time to try anything new. And you need to just do what's best for your body and what you know makes you feel strong and lift heavy. So what I personally recommend is opting for a low glycemic carbohydrate mixed with a protein and minimal fat. And we want minimal fat just because fats are going to slow the digestion of our carbohydrates, and those low glycemic carbs are what's going to help you stay fueled for longer. And so it's super important to keep your blood sugar stable just so that you're not experiencing any crashes in between meets or in between lifts, and so you know you're feeling good. So what I usually eat after I weigh in is instant oats, and I usually mix it with some sort of protein powder, egg whites, a little bit of peanut butter on top, and blueberries. Just some other specific examples, something like a sweet potato and a lean protein like chicken with some sort of condiment, whatever you want mixed in there. And some people also like to do like a sandwich with deli meat, something of that nature.
And I've tried a couple different things. I've tried oatmeal before, and it felt okay, but not my best. Before training, I actually usually do a bagel with either a little bit of butter or some peanut butter and then some type of protein source. So I usually do egg whites or deli meat, and that's what I train with all the time. So that's, at least for this weekend, that's my plan for post weigh-ins. Just because I know I feel good with it, had good lifting days, it digests and sits well with me. So yeah.
Yep. And everyone's going to be different. You kind of just need to play around with, you know, different foods that, you know, make you feel good. And if maybe something's not working, it might be a good idea to try something different when you're training, but just not the day of the meet.
Yep. So post snatches, so you weighed in, you did your meal, and then post snatches, you are going to want to eat something. You're probably going to be like super pumped up because you just made all your lifts, you're excited for your clean and jerks. So sometimes it can be tough to eat. You just might not feel like it, or you might just feel like, oh, I'm good, but you will want to get something in just because that adrenaline is really going to get to you, and you, depending on how much you did cut, you might need to refuel. So this is where you want something that will be a little faster digesting. Can sip on some Gatorade, fruits, pretzels. Personally, I like to bring like snack type foods just because I have trouble getting a lot in during this time, but I know I need to eat something. Sometimes I'll do like a Snickers bar. Just
no shame.
Yes, things that will digest fast. And you can also try this in training too. I know some people will like snack on cereal. You could even do like a sandwich if you want a little more sustenance, I guess. But just something that's going to digest pretty quickly because you're going to need to be warming up for your clean and jerks. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
add more.
Just something else. Depends if you're cutting, how much you're cutting. We'll get into this later. I usually always make sure to season my meals with sodium. If you are someone who's cutting sodium the week of the meet or are slightly dehydrated from trying to make weight, it's really important to replenish those electrolytes with sodium. And we'll get into hydration next, but that's just a little note that I usually like to add. And just like a snack type food that would be really great for this kind of thing is pretzels, or again with like the deli meat in a sandwich or something. So next we're talking about hydration, not dehydration, hopefully not. As anyone who's in the sport probably knows, dehydration is something that you really want to avoid while competing, especially if you're making weight. So Pedialyte is the absolute best thing that you can have post weigh-in, especially if you are cutting a decent amount of weight. Either way, there's no harm in drinking it anyways, even if you don't have to cut anything. The reason why this is great is because the specific electrolytes in Pedialyte are immediately absorbed and quicker into your absorbed into your muscles. And it also helps you retain water. So again, with the sodium cut or the water cut that you're doing, that's something that will help you hold on to more weight, which is what you want post-weigh, and you don't want to be super light. Some people do Gatorade for just after they've already replenished with Pedialyte or coconut water. I personally always do Pedialyte because I know it makes me feel better.
I've done both.
Yeah,
I kind of go back and forth, and yeah. So and drink some regular water too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, everyone's different. It's gonna come down to experience and what you feel best with. One thing that you should note is that if you are slightly dehydrated after your weigh-in, you shouldn't chug water or Pedialyte. I've done that before, and it feels awful when you put on a belt when you're trying to clean and jerk. It'll just make you feel really bloated and uncomfortable. So just make sure you're sipping slowly. Something I like to do is move around, do some lunges or squats with Pedialyte, just to kind of get it flowing through the body. Yeah, so that's pretty much it with hydration. And now we're going to be getting into cutting for weightlifting meet and deciding if you should cut, if you shouldn't cut, and both of our personal experiences and suggestions.
So, and like, I guess the big disclaimer for this is it's really like, and for all of this, it really comes down to each individual person. So this is kind of a general overview. For each person specifically, if you want to cut or not cut, talk to your WAG coach about it, talk to your lifting coach about it, because it really will differ for each person. Personally, and we talked about this a little, we both kind of recommend that, especially if it's your first meet or even your first couple of meets, like making weight and cutting weight should be the last of your worries. There's already competing is already stressful and lots of nerves, and it's fun, but there's a lot of nerves and just adrenaline going on, and so you don't want your weight to be just another source of stress for you. There's definitely a lot of factors to consider. Should I say? I guess I can go back to usually cutting. We like to recommend that you're within 2 to 3 kilos. That's a pretty reasonable amount to cut. You can start dialing things in 4 to 6 weeks out. It depends on the person. But just to make sure that it's not going to be impacting your performance on competition day. But yeah, there's a lot of different things to consider. So how long you've been competing, maybe if you're trying to qualify. So if the numbers you're hitting in the gym are super close to qualifying for maybe you want to call a national meet, or maybe your goal is one of the AO series meets, things like that, then you may want to cut down if you're close. Or even if you're even higher level than that, like world teams or things like that. Just all kinds of different things. How it impacts your performance. If you know that you don't feel good after cutting very much, then we don't want to do that. The time that you're weighing in, so different meets will have, you may weigh in at 8 a.m., you may weigh in at 6 p.m. It really depends.
I usually like to discuss with my clients / athletes, let's say someone's really new to the sport, maybe they're doing their first, second, or third weightlifting meet. They don't really know how the sport works. They're just kind of, going in, seeing how they do. That's just not the time to cut. Like Nicole said, it's going to be stressful. There's just no reason to cut. You really want to have more meet experience. And if there's nothing on the line in terms of qualifications or anything like that, I personally don't think it's worth it. I always like to tell people, if you're not training at a reasonable body weight, within 2 to 3 kilos of your weight class, and maybe cutting that 2 to 3 kilos is going to impact performance, or we have to go to extreme measures to get there. It's just not worth it. And I just don't think that anyone who's competing in the sport wants to go on the platform and feel like crap or have a crappy performance. So that's really something to consider. Obviously, there are extreme scenarios where, you might be in a spot to set a record, or you're within like 2 to 3 kilos of qualifying for nationals or something. Like, okay, maybe that's when we can push it. But there's just things like that to consider, especially if you want to do well.
Yeah. And another big thing is, like, we love weightlifting, of course, but we also have lives outside of weightlifting. So just kind of like your quality of life, like how is cutting for meat going to impact the rest of your life? Because you're only in the gym those couple hours a week, but you have work, you want to spend time with your friends, maybe you're in school, maybe you travel a lot, just all the other things you do in your free time, because cutting for meat, your nutrition will need to be more dialed in, which might mean not going out to eat as much or even at all, alcohol intake, untracked meals, like, so maybe you have a meal where you more loosely estimate each week, you'll definitely need to dial that in closer to a meet. So just things like that, like how much you're willing to put towards it, how much time you want to invest, and yeah, how it affects the rest of your life too.
Yep. All right. So I don't think we mentioned this. We're both 59 kilo weightlifters.
Yes.
So that's the weight class we're competing in this weekend. We just want to talk a little bit about our experience because we think it's beneficial just to kind of put it out there. And, if there are other weightlifters watching this, then you can just kind of see how we do it and talk to your coach and see if, you want to try a different method or something like that. But anyway, so I personally sit right around 60 kilos. Nicole is around
closer to 61 or so. It depends. I like to be closer to 61 about like 6 weeks out.
Yep. So we both have different approaches, similar / different approaches to how we get down to 59. Usually, we both have coaches. So Taylor is my coach, and
Yvette's my coach.
Yvette is her coach.
So kind of like we tell our clients not to stress about their weight, not to stress about that. We kind of do the same thing. So we follow our coach's plan.
Yeah. So this just allows us to kind of have someone else worry about it for us, and just have, we're here to worry about weights, lifting heavy weights. That's it. So that's just super helpful. Every coach needs a coach. So that's super helpful for us. And Nicole's going to go on and talk a little bit about what might change the week of the meet.
Yeah. So with, like, when it comes to weighing in, especially now they've changed weigh-ins. Basically weighing in underweight does not benefit you at all as far as placing goes. So if you're a 59 kilo lifter, weighing in at 57 does not help you. So you basically want to be as close to 59 as you can be, just because then you don't have to cut as much. Mass can help you move more weight, but so there's definitely just some tweaks that we make the week of the meet, and it's going to differ for each person, but some common ones, tapering down carbs, just because carbs hold on to water, so that can help you drop some weight. You're also usually training a little bit less the week of a meet, so you might not need those, just for your activity level. Might up fats so that we're keeping calories the same, but just kind of tweaking the ratios of your macros. Some people will do lower fiber, just to kind of help get everything through you, so that because fiber can kind of slow digestion, which is usually good because we want to be staying full, but it can kind of help to clear out your guts and everything. We might keep an eye on sodium just to help you drop some of that water. But I guess the point is that there's many different ways to do it. I know that we've both done it different ways. I've done cuts totally different ways, and they've both worked well, and I felt good both ways. So it's really just like taking note of how you're feeling during that week, and then working with your coach to figure out what the best plan is for you.
Yep. So for me, I personally work with Taylor a week out. We'll start dropping sodium Usually 1 week out is like the perfect time to start doing this, just to see how your body responds. Then obviously if she sees that my weight's dropping really quick, we'll, either add a little bit more sodium or carbs or whatever it is. If my body's not responding, we'll probably just cut a little bit more carbs. I personally like to keep an eye on fiber, like Nicole was saying, just because, when you're eating more dense foods, that's less physical food in your stomach. So like Nicole was saying, obviously we want people to be eating for volume if they're hungry or if you want to focus on satiation. But this is just a little trick that you can implement to still allow you to eat more, but just not have all of that physical food sitting in your stomach.
Yep.
And so just another, I guess, more extreme method that I'm sure if you guys have read our weight cutting ebook that Adi wrote, you know about water cutting and tapering. We personally don't do that because we don't sit too high above 59 to have to do that. And we've both done other methods that work really well in terms of just getting down there.
Yeah. I just taper my water intake down. So
yeah.
like right now I'm still drinking a gallon, a little more. And then the day before the meet, I might just sip more. But yeah.
Yeah, so some people will take that more extreme route of loading water. So this is, a couple days with 2 gallons and you taper down to 1 gallon, another 1 gallon, half a gallon. Then depending on when your weigh-in is, you'll do like a liter or less. Again, that's a more extreme method and could cause you to feel a little crummy or not at all. We've seen both sides. It's just kind of a disclaimer that we like to put out there. But yeah, that's just another way. And obviously if you're really over and need to go to even more extreme measures, there's always ways to get your weight down, like spinning, sauna, hot bath, stuff like that. Obviously, we don't want to have to go there, but, if you're competing and that's what you have to do, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, even just like, and this, I know for me personally, when I've been, like, say I wake up the day of and I'm just 0.3 over.
Yeah.
Like if I'm home, I take my dog for a walk. So I'll just put on a sweatshirt, go take my dog for a walk. Usually just like kind of like, because you lose weight through just living, basically. So just things like that. And
it even doesn't have to be like a hot bath. Like for me, I flew, so I competed at the American Open and I flew the day before. We woke up really early. I got really crummy sleep. I was eating normally because my weight was on point, but I ended up retaining a little bit of water due to lack of sleep and probably flying a little bit. So the day of competition, I woke up 0.4 over, which was like a kind of a shock to me because I was like at weight the day before. But literally all I had to do was sit in a warm bathtub for 35 minutes and I was 58.9. So just super easy stuff like that. Like you don't even have to sweat a ton, just like moving or, getting a little bit warm can help a ton.
Yeah. Do we
cover it all?
Yeah, I think just like kind of one last thing, like this isn't nutrition as much, but just like some things that we do like the day before the meet or day of the meet. I know it's tough when you're at meets and your friends are competing, but I personally try not to watch too much other weightlifting just because you're so excited for them and your adrenaline's like going up and down and like that, before a meet is the time to be selfish and take care of yourself and rest and sleep and do all those things. I know I like to visualize my lifts a lot.
Visualization is huge. Like people don't realize what it can actually do, but like your brain is neuroplastic. So what you're thinking about and what you are, visualizing is ultimately like what it's going to remember physically too. So I agree. I do the same kind of thing. I visualize, I make sure I'm not watching people. I will probably not be on my feet a lot. I don't want to use my legs too much, just to rest a little bit, and I'll probably read a book or something, like just to get my mind off of being anxious and excited. Yeah. Well, if you guys have any questions, post them below, and if people aren't posting right now,
we can come back and answer them too.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna be here all weekend, and we don't compete until Saturday, so we'll have nothing to do.
Let us know if you're here in Memphis.
Yeah. Message us on Facebook or something if you are, so we can have a WAG meetup.
Yes. Cool.
All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye.